The auditorium buzzed with chatter and the faint rustle of glittery costumes. Parents filled the rows, cameras ready, their faces glowing with pride. But one seat in the third row sat empty. It had a name card that read, "Reserved, Mr. Alexander Grant." Backstage, a small girl with chestnut curls and a faded pink dress peeked out from behind the curtain. Her name was Lila, only 6 years old, her shoes slightly too big, the ribbon on her wrist fraying. She clutched a worn music sheet, its corners creased and soft from her tiny hands gripping it night after night. Her music teacher, Ms. Rivera, knelt beside her, whispering gently, "Are you sure you're ready, sweetheart?" Lila nodded quickly, her eyes shimmering with excitement. "Yes, ma'am. Mommy said to sing from my heart. That way, even if she's not here, she'll still hear me." Ms. Rivera's smile trembled. She had met Lila's mother once, a frail woman wrapped in a hospital gown, her smile gentle but her breathing shallow. That woman had begged her to let Lila join the annual charity recital, saying, "She sings to heal me. Please, let her sing once before I can't hear any more." The teacher had agreed. But what Lila didn't know, what no one in that auditorium knew, was that her mother had once been married to one of the wealthiest men in the city, a man who had never met his daughter. And tonight he was there. In the far corner of the hall, a tall man in a dark suit slipped through the door, unnoticed. Alexander Grant, CEO of Grant Enterprises, rarely attended public events without bodyguards. Yet tonight he stood alone. No entourage, no reporters, only silence and guilt. He had received a letter 2 weeks ago, and signed, unmarked, delivered to his office by mistake. Inside was a hospital photo of a woman he hadn't seen in 7 years, and a child standing beside her. On the back, written in neat, shaky handwriting, "She's your daughter. Her name is Lila. She's singing at the children's hospital fundraiser next month." The moment he saw the girl's eyes, the same warm amber as his late wife's, his world had stopped. He had searched for her, for them both, years ago. But after a bitter breakup, her mother, Emily, had vanished without a trace. His empire grew, his wealth multiplied, but the emptiness only widened. And now, fate had brought him here, to a small community recital filled with laughter and paper stars, while his heart thundered in disbelief. Backstage, Lila took a deep breath as her name was called. The lights dimmed, the audience hushed, and her small figure walked out, holding a toy microphone that looked out of place among professional equipment. The host smiled kindly. "Next, we have little Lila performing a song she wrote herself." There was a murmur of surprise. A 6-year-old who wrote her own song? Lila stepped up to the microphone, eyes scanning the crowd nervously. The bright stage lights blurred the faces, but she smiled anyway, pretending she could see her mom sitting in the front row. "This song," she said in a clear, high voice that carried through the hall, "is for my sick mommy." A ripple of silence spread across the room. In the back, Alexander froze, his throat tightening. "She's in the hospital," Lila continued softly, "but she said if I sing loud enough, she'll hear me." The pianist gave her a soft cue. Lila closed her eyes and began to sing. Her voice was fragile at first, like the flutter of a small bird finding its wings. But as the melody rose, it carried something pure, not polished or professional, but honest. Musical note. "When the stars go to sleep, I'll still sing for you. When the rain hides your face, I'll still find you too. You said love never ends, even when skies turn gray. So I'll sing till you wake, Mommy. Please be okay?" Musical note. The crowd fell utterly still. Even the children who had been whispering moments ago were staring at her, eyes wide. Alexander's vision blurred. He pressed a trembling hand against his mouth. That voice, that small, aching voice, it pierced through years of silence and regret. He remembered Emily's voice from long ago, singing to herself as she cooked in their old apartment, humming lullabies that never got sung to their child. And now here was that same song, rewritten by a daughter he'd never met. Tears slid down his face before he even realized it. When the last note faded, the auditorium erupted in applause. Some parents stood, clapping hard, while others wiped their eyes. But Lila didn't seem to notice. She simply bowed shyly, then ran off stage, clutching the ribbon around her wrist, the same ribbon her mother wore in her hair during chemo. Alexander rose from his seat, heart pounding. He wanted to run to her, to say something, anything, but he froze. How could he just walk up to a little girl and tell her he was her father after all these years? He hesitated, debating, until Ms. Rivera came to the mic again. That was beautiful, Lila. Everyone, please remember the charity box near the entrance. All donations tonight go toward the Children's Oncology Unit. The words hit him like thunder. Children's Oncology. His eyes darted to the stage exit. His legs moved before his mind could catch up. Backstage, Lila sat on a small crate, swinging her feet as she hummed her song again. She looked up when she heard heavy footsteps stop beside her. A tall man crouched down, his voice trembling. "You sang beautifully, sweetheart." She blinked, unsure she was allowed to talk to strangers. "Thank you, mister." He smiled faintly. "Do you sing for your mom often?" She nodded eagerly. "Every night. Mommy says my songs make her brave. The doctor said she's real sick, but Mommy says brave people don't give up." Alexander's heart cracked open. His hands trembled as he reached into his pocket and pulled out the small music note pendant he'd once bought for Emily when she was pregnant. She never took it with her when she left. "Your mom," he said softly. "Is she in St. Mary's Hospital?" Lila's eyes widened. "How did you know?" He swallowed hard. I know someone there." She grinned, oblivious to his struggle. "Then maybe you've seen her. She's the prettiest mommy in the world. She says when she gets better, we'll go see the ocean. She's never been, and neither have I." Alexander couldn't breathe. He rose to his feet, nodding stiffly. "That sounds wonderful." Before he could say more, a nurse came rushing backstage, calling, "Lila, sweetheart, come quick. It's about your mom." The girl's eyes widened with panic. She dropped her music sheet and bolted after the nurse. Alexander stood frozen, the pendant clenched in his fist. For a long second, the hall blurred into noise, laughter, applause, footsteps, and all he could hear was the echo of her song. "Mommy, please be okay?" He turned and ran after her. The nurse hurried to the side door of the auditorium, her voice urgent but gentle. "Come on, sweetheart, your mommy's asking for you." Lila's little shoes slapped against the hallway tiles as she ran, her curls bouncing. Alexander followed from a distance, his long stride silent but heavy. His heart pounded louder than the applause, still echoing behind him. Outside, the night air was cool and sharp. The hospital sat just across the street, its windows glowing in the dark like faint stars. As they entered the building, Lila's small hand trembled as she held the nurse's arm. Alexander slowed, unsure how close he should follow, afraid that one wrong step could shatter everything. He could hear the faint beeping of monitors as they reached the third floor, oncology ward. The sterile smell of antiseptic hung in the air, mixed with something faintly floral. When the nurse led Lila into room 312, Alexander stopped outside the half-open door. Inside, a pale woman lay in bed, her body fragile beneath thin blankets. Her hair, once long and golden, was now short and uneven from treatment. But even in weakness, Emily still carried a grace that time could not erase. Lila climbed onto the edge of the bed, careful not to tug the foreline. "Mommy, I sang your song," she chirped proudly, her little face glowing. Emily smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "I heard you, baby. I heard every word." Her voice was a whisper, fragile but warm. She reached out, brushing a thumb along her daughter's cheek. "You were perfect." Lila giggled. "I told everyone you'd hear me from the hospital." Emily laughed softly, a sound that broke Alexander's restraint completely. He stepped forward, his breath shaking, the pendant still clenched in his palm. The soft beeping of the monitors echoed as he crossed the threshold and spoke her name for the first time in years. "Emily." The woman froze, her hand still on Lila's hair. For a long second, she didn't dare look up, as if afraid the sound was only a dream. When she finally lifted her gaze, tears welled instantly. "Alex." He nodded, his jaw trembling. "It's me." Lila blinked in confusion. "Mommy, you know him?" Emily's breath hitched. She turned away for a moment, struggling to gather herself. "Sweetheart," she said softly, this is your father." The room fell silent. The little girl looked between them, her brow furrowing. "My daddy? But I don't have a daddy. You said he went far away." Alexander knelt beside the bed, his eyes filling. "I did," he whispered, "and I was wrong. I went away when I should have stayed." Emily's eyes softened, though pain lingered behind them. "Why are you here, Alex?" He held up the photo that had been mailed to him. "Someone sent this to me. I didn't know you were sick. I didn't know she even existed." Emily closed her eyes, tears slipping free. "I tried, Alex. After we separated, I wanted to tell you, but I was scared. You were rebuilding your company, surrounded by lawyers and cameras. I didn't want her growing up under the spotlight. She deserved peace." He nodded slowly. "And I gave you distance when I should have fought for family." The words cracked in his throat. "I lost you once because of pride. I won't lose you both again." Emily's lips trembled. "Alex!" He reached for her hand gently, terrified of how cold it felt. "Let me help. The best doctors, the best hospital, whatever it takes. Just let me fix this." But Emily smiled faintly, the kind of smile that broke hearts because it carried goodbye. "Money can't fix everything, Alex." Her voice grew softer. "They've done all they can. It's only time now." Lila's little hand clutched her mother's arm tighter. "Mommy, don't talk like that. You promised you'd get better." Emily brushed her daughter's cheek again. "I know, my love, and I'm trying." Alexander turned away, fighting tears. The man who could buy skyscrapers and silence scandals couldn't buy another heartbeat for the woman he loved. As the night deepened, Lila eventually fell asleep in a chair beside the bed, her head resting against Emily's side. The monitors beeped steadily. Alexander sat quietly on the other side, the pendant lying on the bedsheet between them. Emily's voice came out in a whisper. "Do you remember when you gave me that?" He nodded, his throat too tight to speak. "You said it meant our lives will always share one song." She smiled faintly, looking toward her daughter. "Now that song belongs to her." Alexander swallowed hard. "She's incredible, brave, kind, everything I ever hoped for." Emily's eyes softened. "Promise me something," she said weakly. "Promise you won't let her grow up alone." He took her hand firmly. "I promise. On everything I am." She exhaled slowly, relief flickering through her fading strength. "Then I can rest easy." The next morning, the world seemed cruelly calm. Nurses moved quietly through the ward. Sunlight spilled across white sheets. Lila stirred awake, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy? Mommy." The sun's up. But her mother didn't stir. The monitors had gone still, their hum replaced by silence. "Mommy?" Lila whispered again, shaking her arm gently. "Mommy, wake up. I'll sing again. I'll sing the song." Her voice quivered as she began the melody. The same song she'd sung the night before, each note trembling with desperation. Alexander stood beside her, tears streaming down his face. When she faltered, he knelt beside her and sang the next line softly, his deep voice breaking. Musical note. "When the stars go to sleep, I'll still sing for you." Musical note. Lila looked up in confusion, then slowly joined him. Together, father and daughter sang to the woman who could no longer hear them, or maybe she could, somewhere beyond pain and time. When the last note faded, Lila whispered, "You think she heard us, Daddy?" Alexander hugged her tightly. "I know she did, baby. She always will." Weeks later, the city's newspapers carried a quiet story buried beneath business headlines. Millionaire Alexander Grant funds free oncology program in memory of late wife, Emily Grant, for the mothers and children who still have songs to sing. At the hospital's new children's wing, a small plaque hung by the entrance, engraved with words chosen by a 6-year-old girl. "Love never ends, even when skies turn gray." Lila stood before it, holding her father's hand. The pink ribbon still tied around her wrist fluttered in the breeze. She looked up at him and asked softly, "Can we go see the ocean now, Daddy? For Mommy?" He smiled through the ache in his chest. Yes, sweetheart, we'll sing for her there. As they walked toward the car, Lila began to hum again, the same song that had once filled a crowded auditorium, the same song that had healed a broken man's heart. And this time, Alexander joined her without hesitation. Their voices rose together, carried by the wind, a promise, a prayer, a song that would never fade. Musical note, love never ends, even when skies turn gray. Musical note.